I used to be a rose hater. It's like saying you hate sushi, but you've never tried it.
We are in Georgia with a landscape that needs a little bit of love.
We brought in 6 garden designers and tons of First Editions plants to help make these garden dreams become a reality. Welcome back to Getting Dirty with First Editions. For Brian's section of the landscape, he'll be working on the foundation garden on the front of the cabin, which includes half of the walkway that leads to the entrance. Brian will need to strategically place plants to help welcome people into the cabin, while also not blocking sightlines from inside. His portion of the landscape connects to Chia-Ming's area to the east and Robbie's to the west, meaning that he'll need to work with both designers to coordinate those transitions. Let's hear from Brian.
My name is Brian, and I garden in Charlotte, North Carolina in Zone 7B with my husband, Tyler. I have lived as a gardener my whole life, pretty much. So my grandmother and my mom have both been gardeners, and my grandma, I remember, like, from really a young age, we would be outside at her house, and she had a daylily patch. She collected daylilies, and so we would be out in her garden. I would be following her around just like little, and she would be wearing a muumuu and walking around looking at all of her daylilies. And I just remember from that sort of time, that's where I fell in love with gardening and the idea of it. Okay, so my space is right on the front of the cabin, and as you come up to this beautiful area, you're kind of like on a hill. So I feel like I was like blessed with this like lucky like spot here, because it's like prime front and center. Like, I get to be the drama, and I can't wait for that. So I think it's going to be really fun to work on the space. It's also super, super deep. So it's like 15 feet deep maybe. And so I also have the porch of the cabin on each side. So I'm already thinking of ways to sort of like lift the eye up. And you've got this like really tall space to handle, but also the cabin itself is super dark color. So I'm like, okay, how can we soften the color? So I'm already thinking about the color palette for all my plant selections, and already thinking sort of about how I can sort of expand this, because also within the space you have the front, which is full sun. And then as you walk through up to the front porch of the cabin, you sort of have this really, really dark, shady area. And my other creator friend, Robbie, is on the other side of that. So we kind of need to like be friendly in this, maybe, and work together so that those spaces kind of like speak to each other and they're not totally different. And on the other side of that, I've got Chia-Ming. And so I want to make sure that we work together too, because her space kind of comes out beyond my space a little bit. And so I think working together and being friendly is probably the smart option here, even though we're probably all seeing this as a competition. So yeah, my space is gorgeous, and I can't wait to get it started. To any new gardeners or people who are just interested in it, don't go just buy one plant. Go buy 3 or 5 or 7, depending on what your space is like, because the impact that plant that you loved, that one single plant would make as 3s or 5 or 7s is so much different in the garden, and it makes the space feel more full just instantly. Whereas I feel like when you plant singles, you always feel like there's something missing.
So when you came up to the house for the first time and saw that this was your space, what did you think?
I honestly thought, like, wow, I'm so lucky. Like, this is the prime space of the whole garden. I know there's a lot of good spaces here, but I really thought, like, this is the front of the house. This is the first impression. And it's a space that is something that could be so, like, the proud moment of the garden before you sort of go discover all the spaces and walk around it. So I was really lucky to have that. But then I also sort of discovered that there were some other like things in it, some problems that I got to solve, which a challenge is always fun. I was just super happy that it's like this shining moment right on the front of the cabin.
So where did you start?
So when I am starting a new space, I always step back and sort of consider the actual structure and what that structure requires. Do I want to break that structure up at all? Do I want to emphasize spaces? And then I really just start layering in. I always sort of design with like a few principles of obviously layering. Like, we want there to be structure to sort of hold the space down. And I'm a very formal gardener, so I like to add that nice formality to the garden. But then I also want to add in those colors. And so I always design with chartreuse in mind, and red and sort of silver and different sort of greens. And then multi-season interest. And so I think there's a lot of factors that I start with, but then actually as I get in and start selecting plants, there's a lot of emotion involved where I'm like, oh, I just love this plant, and I want to get in there and include it and figure out a way to make it work within the space.
So you have a cohesion challenge in your own space.
Yep.
But then you also are working with 5 other designers. So how do you take your style, the challenges that you're facing, and match them up to create one really beautiful garden around this house?
Yes. So for me, the cohesion was, okay, are there specific plants that we can carry from space to space? So if my space meets up with another gardener's space, are there ways we can work together to transition plants and or colors or whatever it may be so that it feels like there is that cohesion? And then in my space alone, if I'm transitioning from a full sun spot to a space that is more like traffic heavy, like we've got a sidewalk right through the space, so there's a path. And then we've also got this sort of almost full shade spot. And so how can we also carry those colors and those interests in through that transition to make it seem like less there's something missing and more you get to discover something new?
You've got this really large height differential.
Yeah.
So how did you think about that?
Yeah, so that was really important for me. I've got this, we're sort of on a hill, but we've also got this cabin that we have sort of a lower layer that has some really interesting stone supports that I wanted to emphasize. It's funny because at first I was choosing plants to kind of cover them up, which I thought at first that was emphasizing them. And then as I stepped back, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm covering these beautiful details. And so I was able to sort of get rid of those and then bring in these linebacker Distilleum so that I could really bring the eye up. And it would also soften the color of the cabin while solving pretty much 2 problems at once. And then with the Summer Cascade Wisteria, we can sort of add that ethereal element that will get those beautiful blooms in early spring. It'll sort of just trail up onto the cabin itself and sort of balance that formality that we added with the linebackers.
Going into this project, Brian knew that he wanted a strong first impression for the front of the cabin. Working with the full sun exposure and the shadier portion near the front walkway, Brian used similar colors and plants to seamlessly transition not only from sun to shade, but also from Chia-Ming's garden. He also collaborated with Robbie to design the area surrounding the walkway, deciding to add shrubs like Lemonburst arborvitae to decorative containers for height and visual interest with its chartreuse evergreen foliage. For the foundation planting, Brian layered shrubs with different textures, colors, and seasonal interest to add excitement against the dark log cabin. The linebacker Distilleum add vertical structure to the space, while also acting as an anchor plant within the foundation garden. These evergreen shrubs frame the cabin and draw the eye up to Summer Cascade Wisteria, which will climb up the cabin porch and add a playful element to the design. On the edge of the foundation bed, Brian planted Sapphire Surf Bluebeard for a beautifully layered moment with late season interest.
All right, so from this cabin garden to you, we'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Cozy cabbage garden. Okay. From this it's a lot of C's.
Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.